Hey everyone, I am back with kind of like the second half of the monster phase thing. And it is nice for you to be back. And I'm sorry that went over a little bit, but I'm glad that it did go over because, my goal is to always teach you guys more about Dungeon Crusade. And I think you learned a lot about, the monsters and hopefully it excites you more. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this system and just know, first of all, that there is another demo, if it was from a while ago, of the patrol route system. So this is going to be a much kind of updated one with, of course, looking at, this is the final game stuff. So let me tell you about the patrol route system and kind of a little bit about why I did this and what I wanted to achieve. As some of you may know, as I point you down a little more, that Dungeon Crusade is an open world dungeon crawl game, and from a diehard soloist game creator, that I have always been a diehard soloist gamer, and in starting Groovis Games Unlimited, this is the kind of games I'm going to want to create for people that for the soloist gamer, and of course the co-op crowd. But I have a lot of very innovative game mechanics that I want to explore and share with you, and some upcoming games I'm going to be working on that's going to give you a very satisfying experience, so you can play your board game solo. I love playing solo. I love giving myself and others a challenge to say, okay, here you go. Here's this huge dungeon. You got some quests to complete, but these monsters are going to try to stop you, and they're going to give you a hard time. So that's kind of why, I built this from the ground up for the soloist board gamer at heart. But you can play co-op. So what is the patrol route system? Looking at this 3x2 foot dungeon, ever since I was a kid until now, I wanted to have a board game where, of course, my heroes would be deep within a dungeon, trying to complete quests. But I wanted monsters in the dungeon to kind of move on their own, so to speak, or, to give them an AI so that they could traverse this dungeon. They're lurking around and running around this dungeon while my heroes are kind of in the middle of it, trying to get these quests done that they have to do. So it was years ago now that I devised this exclusive game mechanic called the patrol route system. And in a nutshell, if we look back here at the dungeon, when I designed the dungeons, they're 3x2 feet, okay? I call these quadrants. You're going to notice that there's these quadrants, like right here, the demo we're going to be looking at for this. Here is the Chamber of Kings North. Here is the Ancient Depths right here, 6x6. All quadrants in Dungeon Crusade are 6x6. The Pit of Darkness, Ogre's Lair West, Ogre's Lair East. So you have these quadrants. Well, within each of the quadrants are these like skull pile symbols here, and then of course the spawn points. And each one of those, I'm going to set you back. Well, let's switch right here, since we're going to be talking about this. Years ago, I worked, and I have some Crusade history for you. I worked with a company, and I asked them, I needed this die made. And this is the original patrol route die. We can see it's a D8, and it's got these skull symbols on it. And there's 4 colors. There's on each of the 2 sides, there's blue, green, purple, and orange. Okay? I want you to think of this as like spinning around in these monsters' heads. This is kind of like their AI, if you will. So the thing is that these colors, that there's footprints all over this dungeon, and they're networked to the next quadrant. So if we're going to take a look up here inside the Chamber of Kings, I'm going to move our Shadow Dweller here. We have, it might be hard for you guys to see, but there's like a green patrol route going over here into the Tomb of St. Viticus North. Okay, we have an orange patrol route going up into the Ruins of Daggereth. We have a patrol route, a purple one, going over here into the Ancient Depths. And finally, we have this blue one, and it's coming down to Chamber of Kings South. So the thing is, when monsters spawn in or they move, they're going to pick up a patrol route. And this is what I mean about a living dungeon, and you never have to think for these monsters. You simply roll. Green came up. And then we have to roll the other die for its movement and the raid die, but it's going to move on the green patrol route, you know, whatever it generated for its movement. So it's going to go kind of over here on the green patrol route over to the Tomb of St. Viticus north. On its turn, I'd be rolling a d6, but I'm just trying to, you know, demonstrate this. Okay, so orange patrol route, right, is going to move on the orange patrol route, which is right here. So it's going to go up into the next quadrant. So we can see these minions with the patrol route system gives the player something to deal with these monsters having unpredictable movement patterns. And it forces you as the player to adjust your tactics and strategy on the fly, because this dungeon will always change depending on what the monsters are going to do. You kind of see how that works? So let's go back here. Let's reset our friendly Shadow Dweller. I'm going to get the regular one, the one that you're going to get with the game. Let me grab these dice. Let's say that our Shadow Dweller friend here had just spawned in. Let me get a little bit closer. Okay, so he just, you know, he moved. Let's say he moved on here and he's on a skull pile. He needs to pick up a patrol route. And remember, like what I said, this picture, this thing is like spinning in its head. This is the final patrol route. However, the manufacturers, we have to make that a little more purple. That one right there. So that's the only adjustment we have to make to this. So this thing is kind of spinning in its head. And it's kind of thinking, okay, where am I going to go next? Again, it gives the player, you know, you never know what these monsters are going to do. According to its monster card, this Shadow Dweller has a base movement of 4. It's pretty quick with the roll of a d6. So that's simple, right? We're going to, of course, roll the d6, and we're going to roll the patrol route die to see where this thing is actually going to go. Remember we learned about the raid die? We're also going to roll the raid die. We're playing on a difficulty of, what was that? That was easy. On a result of 12, that's going to raid. It's going to, you know, it's spinning around in its head. Oh, you know, 12 came up. I'm going to go raid the village. It's going to convert from a vagrant to a raiding minion. So at the top of its turn, we're going to roll these 3 dice. And hopefully I don't bash the dungeon, you know, any doors down. Okay, it's perfect. So let's take a look at what happened here. You always start with your raid die. Raid die reads 8. No raid. We can get rid of that. It's going to stay a vagrant minion. We can see it generated 4 movement with its 4. 4 and 4 is 8. Okay, let's take a look here. So it decided, I'm going to go on the orange patrol route. The orange patrol route is right here. So it is going to traverse, I might have to move you, 8 spaces on the orange patrol route. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Its turn is over. You just kind of aim it. So when it takes its next turn, it's going to move onto that skull pile. Let's go to the next turn. Let's just say we went through, it's that turn again. Now, it's not on a skull pile or one of the spawn nodes, right? We don't roll. Well, actually, it's going to be picking one up. So you could decide to roll this right now. You could do it 2 ways. You could roll it now because it's obviously going to go onto a skull pile. Or you can just roll it when it hits it. But so we'll just do it all now. So we're going to roll the patrol route die. Or you could wait till it hits it. Probably just do it all in one roll. It's D6 for movement. And it could still convert. You always roll the raid die. If that thing is a vagrant minion, you're always going to roll the raid die. If it converts into a raiding minion, you don't got to roll this anymore, right? It's already a raiding minion. So let's roll. Okay. No raid, 4. Set that aside. It generated 1 movement. Plus it's 4, that's 5, right? 1. It's going to hold. It's got 4 movement left, right? Let's just set its die for that so we can remember. So it has 4 movement left, right? Okay, it rolled orange again. So, remember it was on the orange patrol route, so it's just going to go back. It's kind of like the Shadow Dweller now. It's just kind of like shuffling back and forth, you know, between this patrol route. So 1, 2, 3, 4 ends its movement. It's on the orange patrol route. Next turn, it's going to come down here and pick up another one. So let's just say next turn, and I'm not going to roll the raid die. Let's say we roll, comes up purple. And let's just say it rolled a 4. So it would have 8 movement. I'm just trying to be quick for you. So we would look of where the purple route is, which is right here. So it's going to move 8 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to hold that 3 movement it has left, right? Since it's on the skull pile, right, it's going to pick up another patrol route. Now it's going to go green. Green is right here. 1, 2, 3. Right had 3 movement left, yeah. Right had 5. But anyway, you see my point with that. These things, these minions with the patrol route system, you'll never know where all these will go. It's a very simple system, but it's very effective for giving you that kind of experience. Real quick before we look at the Guardians, and then we're going to go on to, actually let's put it right back here. And hopefully you can see this. Lastly, if it's a raiding minion, let's say that this minion was going to raid, okay? And it just came in, actually I have to back you up so you can see this. Let's say that it enters into the Chamber of Kings North, okay? The bloody arrows here, and I kind of gave this an extra little level of AI. These bloody arrows actually have numbers on them. You might not be able to see it. This is 1 to 3, 4 to 6. So I did that because I wanted to give the minion a little more AI to it. So it's kind of like, picture it enters in and it's thinking, okay, which way do I want to raid the, which way do I want to go out to the dungeon or out of the dungeon? Do I want to go this way? Do I want to go that way? Again, you as a player will never have to decide this. Monsters think for themselves, so to speak. You're going to roll a d6. Let's roll. Okay, so 6. Let's say that it had 7 movement left, okay? It's going to go on up to that bloody arrow through 4 to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and when I say 7. So you see these kind of, when you see bloody arrows with the numbers, it was just more of an AI to let it be even more unpredictable, for you, so you don't know what monsters are going to do on their turn. So that is a little bit about the patrol route system. I hope that you enjoyed that. Oh, let's finish up with the Guardians, because I'm sure you'd like to know how they move. And now these things can be very dangerous. Guardians, this is a good thing. You know what we're going to do? We're going to wrap it up with this. Come back, because in that way I can get this one uploaded pretty quick for you. Guardians don't generate movement, so to speak. Let me get its card for us. Okay. Guardians, let's take a look at Razor Fang's monster card. So there's his monster card, level 1. Again, origin stories down there. Every level 1 monster or Guardian I wrote an origin story for. Kind of like as they go up to level 2, 3, and 4, they gain new special abilities. And I actually created 3 special abilities, one for level 2, level 3, level 4. So I didn't take the easy way out and just use one special ability throughout. I gave each one a unique ability as they level up. So here's Razor Fang's card. So let's just take a look, see what he's proficient in. See, we can see he's very strong with physical warfare, ranged warfare, and mythical warfare. So those are the things that he is very versed in. Let's take a look over here. Notice this, and you're going to notice this on minions too, so we'll kind of catch this too that we could chat about. This is called the target priority box. Notice C3, C2, C1. To give them even further more AI, when I devised all the monsters, I actually kind of gave them an aggro level, if you will. What this is this tells you who Razor Fang will attack first. So class 3 heroes, let's start with class 1. Class 1 heroes are like your barbarian and your knight. Class 2 heroes are your archer and your rogue. Class 3 heroes are your wizard and your cleric. Okay, so I created these classes. So let's just take a look at this. Here we see Faith. I'm going to move the dungeon board around. Faith is right here. She's a class 3 hero, okay? Here's Maheliak. He's a class 1 hero. So in a way, Razor Fang sort of knows, well, I'll tell you what, I don't think I could do much damage to this class 1. That's why he's at the end. However, I know I could put more damage on a class 3 hero because they're not versed in these warfare types. They're not proficient. I'm going to attack a class 3 hero if it ever comes into view. Razor Fang is going to go after Faith and attack her. Now, let's say Faith wasn't there. Well, then, of course, he's going to go after Maheliak. See how that works? So that's kind of like it's called the target priority box. Minions also have that. So minions and guardians share that. That's one and the same. Champions don't have that. The blue square with the 1 tells you that's a level 1 monster. Now see the 3Q? Remember how we learned about quadrants, correct? Guardians make huge movement in the game. They can go a great distance. Hold on, we got to get this focused. And these are the ones you really got to watch out for. And I think we learned about tracking tokens a few videos back, so you kind of should know what that is. So what we're going to do is that 3Q means it's going to move 3 quadrants. They have huge movement. All you have to do is roll the patrol route die. They never raid. They don't ever generate, like a D6 thing. They move by quadrants. So purple. It's going to simply move on the purple patrol route, which I knocked the door down. So looking at the purple patrol route, it's simply right over here. So it's going to traverse. That's 1 movement, right? It has 2 remaining. And roll the patrol route die. Okay, now Razor Fang is going to go on the green patrol route. Now, I want you to notice something. You're going to see a symbol here, even though it's hard to see. It's a green footprint. What that means is it's on the blue route. When you get to certain corners, when I was designing this, you kind of run out of, because it's not like, 4 ways it could go. So simply, when you see one of the images on the patrol route die on one, it's simply going to traverse on that. Very simple. So it rolled green. We have a green image there of that monster's footprint. It's going to traverse on the blue patrol route, but it's actually green. So if we look, the blue one comes down here, over here, down over here to this one. Now we can see that there's a Blackwood Prowler right on this, and that's totally fine. That Guardian can occupy that long enough to pick up its last patrol route. Rolls, and it's going to go blue. Simply, it's going to shuffle back this way. Two figures can never just stay on a space. They can't end their turn. If it ended its turn, it would have to stop right there. So it's going to traverse back on the blue patrol route back to this one. So you can see very clearly how these Guardians can make some huge movement in the dungeon. So kind of that in a nutshell is the patrol route system, and I hope that you enjoyed all of that. Okay, finally here, why don't we... Actually, there's going to be a very short one, because now we're going to get into the monster phase of a turn. But I'm glad that I took the time to explain. We covered a lot of ground in these 2 videos. The next one is going to be just talking about the minion population track and how they activate. And so why don't we save that for just a very small video. It's not going to take that long at all. But I think that you learned a lot by discussing just the monster phase. You learned about the patrol route system and the hierarchy of monsters, and just a ton of stuff. Raiding minions, with vagrant minions. So there was a lot of good information in both of these last videos. So come on back. The next one's going to be very short. We're just going to talk about the minion population track and how these monsters activate, and we're going to go right into our demo. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back with you.